Prosecutors urge police to track down location of Red Bull heir to allow for extradition proceedings. The heir to a family fortune estimated in billions of dollars underpinned by the world-famous Red Bull drink, Vorayuth Boss Yoovidhya, is somewhere out there beyond Thailand's borders waiting for time to count down to September 2027 when prosecutors will be no longer able to bring legal action against him for the car accident in 2012 during which he mowed down a police officer on a motorbike in his high-powered Ferrari supercar. A spokesman for Thailand's prosecutor's office this week warned that time may be running out to bring Vorayuth Yoovidhya, the scion of the family at the center of the Red Bull drinks empire, to justice. They have asked police to track him down so that extradition proceedings can be issued. Mr. Vorayuth, now 35 years of age, is thought to be living in the United Kingdom from photographs of him which have appeared in international media. The Red Bull heir, also known as Boss, fled Thailand in a private plane just days before an arrest warrant was issued against him on April 27, 2017 on 3 charges relating to the death of a policeman in September 2012 who was hit by the young man's Ferrari traveling at speed. Already, 2 of those charges have expired under statute of limitations provisions in Thailand, and authorities now have just 7 years to arrest him and bring him before a Thai court on the last charge. 4 senior Thai police officers have been placed on probation due to their roles in the investigation of the hit-and-run incident in September 2012 when a luxury car driven by Red Bull heir Vorayuth Boss Yoovidhya hit an officer of the Royal Thai Police Force in the Klong Toh area of Bangkok on Sukhumvit 49. The officer was riding a motorbike. The young man is reported to have driven the car on its speed, dragging the policeman from the scene of the collision. Victim was 47-year-old Police Sergeant Major Waikian Clan Prasert of Thonglar Police Station. The suspect, then 27 years of age, was driving a grey bronze Ferrari and hit the rear of the motorbike in the control of 47-year-old Police Sergeant Major Waikian Clan Prasert of Thonglar Police Station at high speed. This is on the night of Wednesday, September 3, 2012. The suspect is believed to have been high on drugs and sped away from the scene but was arrested the next day at his home and brought to Police General Hospital for testing. A former head of Thonglar Station among those reported disciplined last March by police authorities. Among the officers reported having been disciplined by the Royal Thai Police from March 31 last was Police Major General Chumpon Phampuang, a former head of Thonglar Police Station which became the focus of the National Anti-Corruption Commission inquiry. This week's news comes after Friday's conclusion by the Anti-Corruption Commission that the failures in the course of the investigation, which it had established, were not serious violations of discipline. For the officers involved, many of whom hold weighty responsibilities, this week's announcement simply means that their performance, since March, is being scrutinized more closely by their superiors on the force. Police spokesman says 7 officers found guilty of dereliction of duty concerning the investigation. The disciplinary action was taken in March this year bt the leadership of the police force and was announced on Tuesday by Police Colonel Kisana Faithanakaran, a deputy police spokesman. He said that, in all, 7 officers had been found guilty of dereliction of duty in the affair but only 4 had been placed on probation while 2 others, named as Police Colonel Tramat Utai and Police Major General Krit Piakayo, had already retired in October 2016 and 2013 respectively. The 7th officer, Police Colonel Wiladon Thaptamdi, the Deputy Chief of Investigation of the Bangkok Traffic Unit, had served 3 days detention for his role in the matter. 4 officers placed on probation, 1 held in detention for 3 days and 2 who have retired. The 4 officers placed on probation were Police Major General Chumpon Phampuang, Chief of the Provincial Police in Samut Prakan, Police Major General Sukan Framayan, Deputy Chief of the Metropolitan Police Bureau, Police Colonel Samrat Ketaim, Deputy Chief of the Planning and Design Division of the Royal Thai Police and Police Colonel Wibun Thinwatana, the Deputy Investigation Chief at Metropolitan Police Division 2. National Anti-Corruption Commission described the infractions as light disciplinary violations. On Friday, June 26, the National Anti-Corruption Commission found officers involved guilty of what it termed light disciplinary violations in relation to tardiness in pursuing the case. 1 officer was found guilty of mild malfeasance or negligence delaying in seeking an arrest order against the suspect. The NAC made it clear that any further disciplinary action in the case was one for police authorities. Reports suggested an intention to avoid charging the Red Bull heir with drug abuse or speeding. Before this week's finding, The commission had earlier produced a report stating that there was an intention on behalf of certain officers involved in the case at Thonglar police station to avoid bringing charges against Mr. Vorayuth for drug abuse and speeding. He was subsequently charged on April 27, 2017 for speeding, failing to stop at the scene of an accident to render assistance, and reckless driving causing the death of another. Spokesman for the prosecutor's office concerned at the delay, fearing the statute of limitations. Over last weekend, a spokesman for prosecutors at the Office of the Attorney General expressed concern at the delay and called for expedition in efforts to secure the arrest of Mr. Vorayuth. He pointed out that, already under Thailand's statute of limitations, the charge of speeding had expired in 2013, while the charge for failing to stop at the scene became impotent on September 3, 2017. Only one charge remaining against Boss, for which a lawsuit cannot be filed after September 2027. Mr. Pratpechun, a deputy spokesman for the prosecutor's office, explained that the accused needs to be in custody before a lawsuit is filed with the court. Mr. Vorayuth, even though charges were filed against him on April 27, 2017 for reckless driving causing death, together with an arrest warrant, fled the jurisdiction 2 days before he was due in court to answer the charges. The statute of limitation on this sole remaining and most serious charge started on the night of the incident and extends for 15 years and until September 2027. Mr. Pratt warned that there are only 7 years left to bring the Red Bull Scion to justice in Thailand. Aware that Mr. Vorayuth is living outside Thailand but awaiting information from the police, the prosecutor's office indicated that they are aware that Mr. Vorayuth is residing outside the kingdom. It also appears that prosecutors have some idea of what country he may be lared in, as they have revealed that they are in contact with prosecuting authorities in a foreign country to prepare for an extradition process, which in itself will take time. Boss has been photographed over the years. These started with shots of him seen adjacent to a private plane at an airport believed to be in Hampshire, with a range of photographs of him in the United Kingdom and particularly in London. This includes photographs outside a London home, at a luxury box in a football stadium, and a number of family parties in the UK celebrating his birthday. However, in recent years, he has also been photographed in what is believed to be Japan. Interpol arrest warrant issued in August 2017 but disappeared off Interpol website in March 2018. Mr. Pratt says that prosecutors are still awaiting information from the police. An arrest warrant for Mr. Vorayuth has been issued in Thailand. At one point, an Interpol arrest warrant was issued for the young man in August 2017. This is known as a red notice. In March 2018, it was reported that the Interpol arrest warrant had been removed from the site. An inquiry at the time to Interpol by the Bangkok Post newspaper was met with a standard reply that the International Police Agency could not, understandably, discuss individual cases. However, they did explain that several circumstances might apply in that situation. One was the notice itself may have been switched to restricted view for security reasons. The notice may have been withdrawn by appropriate authorities. A criminal case may be subject to an appeal or future inquiry. The suspect may be dead, or that the notice itself is the subject of a legal appeal or action. The Thai passport of Vorayuth Yoovidhya was revoked within weeks of his flight from Thailand after charges and an arrest warrant was issued against him on April 27, 2017. Cases raising hackles among the public in Thailand, which is uniquely tolerant and forbearing. The case has become increasingly controversial and a focus point for critics of Thai society, since Mr. Vorayuth comes from one of the country's richest families who are among a coterie of individuals with access to unbridled wealth. Thailand is a country with a laissez-faire attitude to economics and where respect for successful families is very high. The strategic importance of these families, their business activities and economic weight is a key factor in Thailand's economy. However, this case involves the death of a police officer on duty. It continues to raise concern and unease among members of the public in Thailand who are otherwise uniquely tolerant and forbearing in a country where respect for authority and hierarchy is ingrained in its traditional culture. Boss's grandfather founded the business, began as an antibiotics salesman and created an empire. The Red Bull empire was started by Mr. Vorayuth's grandfather Vorayuth Yoovidhya, who died less than 6 months before the infamous incident on the Sukhumvit Road. Some estimates put the family's wealth at a massive $20 billion or $620 billion, mostly derived from the success of the Red Bull energy drink, which took off following a joint venture between the pharmaceutical company owned by Vorayuth Yoovidhya and Austrian businessman Dietrich Mateschitz. Mr. Mateschitz, on a business trip to Thailand, had discovered that the Red Bull elixir, then on sale locally, was amazingly effective at curing his jet lag on a visit to Bangkok in 1984. Mr. Mateskits put up $500,000 and took on the marketing role in return for 49% of a new international concern, while Mr. Shilio's firm TC Pharmaceuticals provided the formula for a revised mixture of the drink for world markets and a further $500,000. That was in 1987, and the drink went on to conquer the world. Red Bull empire created on a lucky hunch. It was not clear what age Mr. Shilio was when he died in 2012. Some reports said 80 while others said 87. However, he had progressed from salesman to owning his own pharmaceutical business in the 1960s. In 1976, he had the inspiration or lucky hunch for the Red Bull product, which his future Austrian partner discovered in 1984. He was born in the northern Thai province of Pichi to a Thai-Chinese family who traded in ducks and fruit for a living. His father was an immigrant from China's Hainan province. Further reading. A politically incorrect economic success. Thailand is home to some of the world's richest people. Government moves to clarify that it is not seeking cash from the kingdom's richest business leaders in overture. PM calls in business tycoons to help the country crawl back to economic normality after virus. Government begins looking at borrowing options to fund huge $1.9 trillion economy rescue package. Thailand and US aim for a new, more proactive trading relationship as ambassador meets Vorayuth. Challenge of defeating both the health and economic emergency, a big ask for Thailand's government in crisis mode. Thailand faces a third shock after the virus if high debt and the informal economy are not prioritized. No limit on borrowing as Somkid plots the biggest stimulus package yet to address the virus crisis. Outlook for the Thai economy is bleak and will get bleaker due to its rapidly aging population. Biggest issue. Richest man in Thailand calls for less time spent at school and a Thai education revolution for a new era. A politically incorrect economic success. Thailand is home to some of the world's richest people.